Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This is holding, pointing the club shaft. This is holding, pointing the club shaft at the target line. This is the old way of playing golf, where you roll your hands, you're inside the target line. This club shaft is pointing way out there. You can't possibly, and you have to bring the club back this way to do it. This is simply holding at the target line and then turning through. That's how you get the swing kick. This is called holding, where you take the club back, you don't allow it to open up, and you point the club shaft at the target line. This is the proper position. Holding, pointing the club shaft at the target line. The old days, they used to roll the club back, and that pointed the club shaft way out here. You had to adapt when you swing down, and that's not good. This is simply holding, and then you, from there, you hit the ball down and down on the ball. That's the correct takeaway.
Okay, do it again.
Okay. This is called holding. As you take the club back, you point the club shaft at the target line, and you hold the club. You don't allow it to flip open. This is called shutting. This is what Miller Barber and many golfers used to do, or some golfers used to do. This is called fanning. It's the worst thing you can do because it introduces 90 degrees of error into your backswing. This is holding, where the club shaft goes back, pointing at the target line, and the club face does not open. And that is continued all the way through the swing. And then here in the downswing, the club shaft is pointing at the target line too, not here inside or not outside, so that you can make a swing right down the plane at the target. Holding. You set up to the ball, the club shaft points at the target line going back, but the club face does not open. It is held open. This is called shutting, where the club face shuts. This is called fanning. Never do that. It increases the angles in your swing, and it's way too much full of air. So this is called rolling. It's an awful way to swing. This is called holding, where you point the club shaft at the target line, and from there you simply swing down, keeping the club shaft pointing at the target line all the way through. And that's the swing. Here's the full swing holding. You hold, taking the club shaft back, pointing at the target line, keeping the club face square or holding it, not shutting it, not rolling it, but keeping it neutral the whole way back. And then from here, the club goes up, the club shaft is pointing at the target line, the club shaft is pointing at the target line. And then that ball is released with the momentum right down the target line and all the way through to the target. That's the swing. Here's how the average person swings. Take the club back, they're lifting it up, they're hitting with their hands, they release all these angles here, the power goes here, the angles are non-existent now, and then you bunt the ball essentially toward the target. So it's this move, here, release early, stop the body, hit with your hands. That's why you don't have any power. If you want power, you hold it going back, pointing the club shaft at the target line, you turn more. As you come down, the more this angle increases here, the more power you have with hitting less effort. And this allows the club to go through the ball right down the target. Okay? Now, the next step is, if you take it inside, you have to then, your club shaft is now pointing out here, you have to then correct and swing with your hands to get the ball back to get the club back to the ball. So inside release is a bad method. It's better to go outside and drop it inside, but that's a hard move too. The move that is consistent is holding, pointing the club shaft at the target line, here, pointing the club shaft at the target line, at the target here, at the target line here, and through. And that's how you get momentum. Here's the basic move with an actual swing. Pointing the club shaft at the target line.
Okay.
Same move again. ready when you are.
Okay.
I have been making a mistake when having my hands too far behind. I need to move them here. This club should point right here, which is why I haven't been hitting as well as I need to. But the club shaft goes back, pointing at the target line, holding. Okay? Perfect. Okay.
Right.
Good. So, here's the thing you need to learn about this. When you're using a wedge, the shaft is only this long. When you use a driver, the shaft is this long. So, pointing the club shaft at the target line changes with every club. Now, this is why DeChambeau uses all clubs that are the same length. So, when you're swinging this way with a wedge, you have to point the club shaft at the target line. When you're hitting a driver, you have to imagine this is the driver. You're out here. It's a different angle. Here, it's here. But you still point the club shaft at the target line all the time. So this is why some people can hit their short irons and not the driver, can hit the driver and not their short irons, and have certain clubs that don't work. We'll do this again. This is pointing the club shaft at the target line out here. As you go back, you're here. The club shaft points at the target line. It's not here pointing outside the target line or here pointing inside. It's here pointing at the actual target line. And as you come down, the better golfers keep that club shaft pointing at the target line to where at this point they're actually pointing the club shaft at the golf ball when they're this far in, and then the release happens and it's down the line. That's how they have power with an easy swing. So I'll show them. Hit the ball further with less effort. This is why hackers swing hard and use all their muscles, and pros don't. Pros turn, but they have the club shaft pointing at the target line and the club face in the right position going back. So here. That's using the club the correct way. This all comes from Paul Hahn, who was a trick shot artist in the 50s and 40s and stuff. Had a club that was nothing but a rope and a head on a club. He would swing it back, wrap it around his shoulder, and then swing and hit the ball. When I saw him do that, and I went, what in the world is this? It was crazy. But that's why. It's because of the club shaft is the point at the target line. The shaft has to be that direction for there to be momentum. If he would take the rope back this way, it would never work. He did this and that every time. So you have to remember that this flexes, and it's that flex that you want to make work for you. So here, like this. Okay. Here are some still photographs to show the general swing. This is the basic setup. This shows the backswing. This is a bad swing on purpose. This is the downswing. I've released the angles in the right arm. You can see them. The club is already pointing in the wrong direction. I've released early, so I have no power, no flex in the shaft. This is a proper swing. Pretty good setup. Taking the club back, pointing the club shaft at the target line. At the top of the swing, I have the club set with an angle in my right arm, and as I start the downswing, the angle increases, pointing the club shaft at the target line. You swing down on the ball, trying to retain those angles as long as you can. And you release through the ball, pointing the club shaft at the target line again. This is a perfect downswing position. Doesn't matter that the left arm is crooked. You can look at my right arm and see all the angles retained. The club shaft is pointing at the target line. 90-degree angle between the club and the right arm, or the left arm, and swinging down on the ball. This is an excellent position. This is even better. You're hitting down on the ball. The club shaft has retained the 90-degree angle. You're carrying all the flex into the golf ball down the line of flight. This is when you first learn this move, pointing the club shaft at the target line. Here's what happens. You get back here and you're doing this, and you sort of do it, and you're pointing the club shaft at the target line. And it takes time to learn. The more you do it, the more you get here, and you can do this. That's what makes you a great golfer, this position. And that is what releases, and you get the crisp, spinny shots.